My name is Bernice Reszitnyk, and I'm from Sandy Lake First Nation. My Indian name is Morning Mist Woman. Kakekakagumick Wenjack. Ego Nego Saganing Dunji. Ego Namendu Dem. My clan is the Sturgeon clan from Sandy Lake First Nation. Ego Diske Thunder Bay Gabes, and I live in Thunder Bay, Ontario. My mom went to Pelican Falls Residential School as a child, and Cecilia Jeffries in Kenora, and my mom had a very hard time there. And I know her siblings went also, and my mom didn't lose her language, but she lost a lot of things. My mom was abused in residential school, and we had a hard time growing up in our home because of what my mom went through. She wasn't taught love at residential school. But my parents loved us, but my mom, it was very hard for her to tell us she loved us because nobody told her that she was loved at residential school. There was too much that my mom went through. She was sexually abused at residential school as a little kid. And I know this because she told me everything she went through. I went with her when she filed her report of what happened to her. So, you know, as a daughter of a survivor, you know, that's a hard thing to learn, you know. We love our parents, and having to go through that with my mother and me as a survivor too of abuse, you know, of living on a reserve and going through the stuff I went through, surviving all these things, you know, and helping people today. That helps me a lot. I'm a mental health counselor, and I help people today, and I help people that I speak my language. I help elders, and then I help other people. I help young people. I do lots of crisis work. I travel the north, and people have called me up and call me all the time to go help, because there's hardly any social workers that speak their language and that are qualified to travel up north. So I get called often to go up north, and I traveled for Aazhibik Nation extensively to travel up north when there's a suicide. Sometimes I would be the first one there, and you know, to be there with the parents, to be at the funeral. You know, sometimes it's hard when I'm the first one there and I have to help the people, and sometimes I have to help them, you know, when they're at the funeral and something's wrong with the body in the coffin, I have to help them prepare it. So that's a lot of things I have to do. But you know, it's part of helping the people that I want to help, and those are my people. And that's the people I've always wanted to help when I was going to school. That I want to help those people, and I want to help them get better. But they have to help themselves by getting better themselves. I can't help anybody unless they want help. So that's where my passion comes from. And I think we need more educated people to travel up north that speak the language, and to go to school to get their masters. I had a 65-year-old I saw, and what I find is she told me her story of her sexual abuse at residential school when she was 12. So she was stuck at a 12-year-old, and she was 65. So I had a 4-hour session with her, and You know, by the time we were done during her 4-hour session, she was rolling on my rug in my office because that's how intense her session was. She wanted to get the stuff off her chest. So she's a 65-year-old, doesn't speak English. We're speaking in our language, and I'm sitting on the floor with her. So that's how important the work is, because I speak my language. And she was so thankful that I was able to understand her and help her. Like, it's important work, especially the elders, right? 65-year-olds, 70-year-olds that don't speak English. So imagine she was stuck at a 12-year-old age and she's 65. And she said, you know, it was a minister that molested her, a priest. So she said it was at Pelican and it was the priest. All the kids knew what it meant when the service was over. They all ran out, but she didn't know. So she got caught. She got molested in the chapel. And then it happens every time when they're done the chapel that he molested one person, one kid. So she said she was slow in running away, so she got caught. So she said she was stuck at that time. And then she said, so that's one story that I've worked with that lady. And that's only one story. There's more, way more. And the work is so needed because they don't speak English. So I guess I'll just keep working with them because the work is needed, because they need to talk to somebody and get it off their chest. And that's what I told her. That's the only way you'll heal, is if you keep talking about it, then you'll get better. She said she was already like getting better a little bit, but at least she's not holding on to it. But it takes years and years to get over it, not just a couple of years. So that's one of the things that one of my clients told me. I'm wearing my jingle dress. I wear my jingle dress for healing, and I dance for healing. I think for just dancing, you know, when people go to the powwow, that's, you dance with other people and you just dance for healing. You dance around the circle, you dance for your people, you dance for your family, you dance for your community. So that's what it's for. You dance for the hurting. You know, different denominations, they go to church, they dance in church. So why not dance when you're wearing your regalia? You know, you can dance in a powwow, you can dance for healing, and that's the same thing. You're dancing to the Creator. Well, same thing in church, you're dancing for God. For me, it's the same thing, Creator, God. You know, you go around, you going around in a circle and you pray. I used to help my mom make her jingle dress out of clim cans. When we were young, she had a blue jingle dress. So it reminded me of my mom when she had her jingle dress. And I thought it was a good find because it's old, really old. They're at a yard sale, but they were made by, like, this is a sardine can, salmon can. That's how, in the olden days, that's how they did it, because you can see the salmon. They're handmade. All the jingles are handmade. My mom made these dresses too as we were growing up, and she was a jingle dress dancer. And my mom is a residential school survivor, so that's why I bought this dress also. And then I have another jingle dress that my friend made, and it has a sturgeon on it, and it's another jingle dress, and so I wear that too. And then I have another dress that's a traditional dress. It has a sturgeon on it, and then on here it has 3 sturgeons, and then those 3 represent my 3 children and my 3 grandchildren. My friend made my dress long time ago, and that's what she said. Those are your 3 children and 3 grandchildren. But my daughter passed away, so she said those will always represent your children. And one of the things too is that, you know, our children and our grandchildren up north, they're all living with trauma. And that's one thing that I'm trying to help people deal with their traumas from growing up. And, you know, it affects my family. It affects the people next door to me. It affects my neighbor. It affects, you know, people in the next reserve. It affects everybody because it's from residential school.